Hello and welcome. Welcome to the Electric Car Hangout. Good to be back. We took the earlier part of June off. We were doing this live every week. I got to tell you, I've missed laying out my gripes about articles and things with you, but it has been nice to have a week or the better part of a month to just kind of focus on summertime things, and come back to you now, loaded for bear, hopefully, for what I hope will be a fun live stream. So thanks again for joining. I'm going to set this down here. We've got some fun stuff to talk about. I want to know, first of all, from you, if you're taking any summer road trips in an EV, how that's been going, if you're planning on doing anything for the 4th in an EV, unique places to travel or anything like that, crazy charging experiences. I'd love to hear any of that. So feel free to add that into the chat, and I will do my best to keep up reading that. And I just wanted to start out by saying happy summer. We've been having some nice summer days here, not too many storms, at least in Minnesota. So things have been pretty good. We haven't been doing the big summer road trips like we did, earlier this year and in the past couple of years. We've been doing a couple day trips. I want to ask you some questions about that as well. And so we're just kind of rolling through summer, might do a larger road trip. I'm trying to figure out what direction to go later in the summer, maybe sometime in August. I'd love to head back out west to the mountains and everything. Maybe get all the way down to the Grand Canyon. I'd also like to go east and do some stuff that way. And of course, south and heading to the beach and things like that is always fun. But we have been hitting the beaches here in Minnesota and enjoying the lake beaches and swimming pools and things like that with my daughter. So hope you're having a good summer as well, and it's not racing by too fast. Let's see. You miss my gripes. Well, that's encouraging. I appreciate that. Let's see. Still waiting for Model Y 7-seater. First Tesla and first EV. Well, I hope you get it soon. I hope it's not too long of a wait. There are rumors that Giga Texas is starting to ramp up. So if those are accurate, hopefully some of those... the backlog of Model Y orders will start rolling out here pretty soon. So best of luck to you on that. Waiting till you get your Tesla. I know when we first got our Prius in 2008, I felt so free. Like I didn't have to feel guilty about wasting gas to take big road trips. And so that's kind of how I felt when we got the Tesla too, is like, first let's test it out, make sure it actually can road trip. And then once we found out it could, it's like, I haven't flown anywhere in years. Part of that was COVID, but now every time we suggest a trip or talk about it, it's like, well, do we have time to drive? Because I'd way rather do that than fly. Let's see. Glenn is here. Hi, Glenn. I'm going to Door County later this summer. Excellent. I think Wisconsin just got a couple new Superchargers. And so I think that trip is going to be easier. So that should be good. Sean says, just got our Model Y long range we ordered last year. Heading on our first long range trip next week to North Georgia, about 300 miles. Nice. That's a good way to stretch it out. And North Georgia has some really pretty stuff, so I hope you have a great trip. Let's see. Watched a video a few weeks ago about safety door releases Front door releases are easy to use, but the rear Model Y door releases are impossible for children. Wondering if I have any concerns with my daughter. Yes and no. Obviously, there's the could something terrible happen and she be trapped in there. Because of my daughter's special needs, I'm not convinced a more conventional solution would help her. There is an older i1 Tesla video. Brian from i1 Tesla did a little video. He showed how to access, it may have been in a Model 3, but basically showed where those emergency releases were in the like cup holder pocket in the back doors. And he put kind of like those wristband rubber things that had like a little hook on it, a closable hook. There's a name for it that I'm completely blanking on. And so he put those in his back seats. Maybe it was his Model Y. But anyway, it made it much more accessible if somebody was back there and needed to grab it. It would just be like, pulling a ripcord, basically. So I've thought about adding those to our car. The problem is, with my daughter's impulsiveness, we had to move her to a booster chair because she's very tall, and so it was too big for the like babysit we've had her in for 7.5 years, 8 years, really. And so we moved her into the booster seat. Everything's great, but she found the little latch behind her to release it to recline or come forward. And so now it's a constant battle of her going choo-choo, 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 and trying to get her to knock it off. And if I get her to stop that one, she'll reach behind the middle seat and start triggering that one to come forward and back. So, in my case, I've thought about adding those and considering doing it on the driver's side, but she sits on the passenger side. I think it's more likely than not, as she gets bigger, has a better reach around the car. I think it's more likely that if I put one in there, she would pull it, not necessarily meaning to open the door, but just like, hey, here's a thing to pull. And obviously that could be very dangerous if it would open on the highway or something. So I think there's solutions out there. The back ones are pretty hard to access. But like I said, I'm not quite sure it's right for me, at least on my daughter's side. That's just I think gonna have to be a risk we live with to mitigate other risks. But obviously everybody's got their own situation. I would check out that i1 Tesla video. It's an old one, but if you probably search for i1 Tesla, emergency release or something like that, YouTube will probably take you to that video. So it's a concern. I might try to find a way to do it where I can maybe put something easy to lift over it that she wouldn't be able to get out. It's one of those things that's nagging in the back of my mind, but I haven't actually done anything with it. I hope that answers your question. That was a very long, involved answer. The wait has been 8 months so far. Ordered in October 1st. Ordered on Halloween. So yeah, I know the wait times are brutal, and I don't know if maybe, I think you said it was a 7-seater. Yeah, 7-seater. Maybe they're just not making those as fast. Well, there's probably less orders for them, so I suppose they do them in batches and release them. But like I said, hopefully with the other factory coming online, there's more pressure taken off the system, and they can start producing the variants and things. So, best of luck to you on that. Roland, hey, welcome. Hope things are going well in North Dakota. John, how you doing? Yeah, no problem. John says put a piece of tape over it. Yeah, she likes to peel and pick at things, though. So maybe I'll do the passenger side, and while I'm working on the passenger side, or maybe I'll do the driver's side that she doesn't sit on. And while I'm doing that, maybe a brilliant idea will come to me. John says he was driving FSD intermittently touching the steering wheel and got a red steering wheel. Said 4 more warnings and you'll be kicked out of FSD. Yeah, John's got neuropathy in his fingers and has a hard time grabbing the wheel all the time. So, yeah, it's tough. I mean, you do have 4 more strikes, which is good, but it's... I think, there was just a story before I came on. Somebody was publishing a story about, the NTHS, or National Highway Traffic Safety Board, NHTSB, I think that's right, is going to look closer and closer into autopilot and FSD. And there was a comment in there, with one of the regulators or whatever saying that we work well with Tesla and, they're responsive when we have, safety concerns or whatever. So hopefully that means, hey, we're going to give them a fair shake. But I think taking away the nags, the strikeouts, that kind of stuff is not going to help their case that they're trying to be safe. So I know it sucks for you, John, but I just don't see them peeling that back until FSD is a lot more solid. I do want to talk a little more about that later. And it's interesting because of, how other companies and other systems do things and how Tesla does them. And that's a whole thing I want to get into in a few minutes here, but I will cancel. My laptop's giving me all sorts of alerts here. So, Kwame Wave. Hi, Kwame. That's Roland's little girl. So if she's up and watching, hi to her. Hope she's enjoying her summer. He says on our Model 3, when you park, there's a bird's eye view. Are you saying M3 like the BMW, or are you saying on your Model 3, there's a bird's eye view? That's interesting. I haven't seen that yet, but that would be cool. I know we've been waiting for it. And I think, did you just have a software update? Because I think an update just went out recently. I haven't gotten one in a while, but that could be a new feature you're just discovering. Do I ever get strikes back when there's updates on FSD? I don't think I've had an FSD strike yet. Maybe I had one. I can't remember, but so far I don't think I've had any strikes. Model 3 bird's eye view. That's really cool. That's the first I've heard of it. So, let's see. I'm trying to think if you can text me a picture of that. I guess that's a pain in the butt, but at some point I'd love to see it if I don't get it on mine. So, it would be way too complex to get it on the live stream. But Glenn says, is that view only in FSD? He's on the 2022 16.2 non-FSD. Yeah, I don't know. That's all news to me. That's cool. I hope it starts rolling out because I know people have been talking about how it's so cool in the Rivian and the F-150. I think the Rivian does it. I know the F-150 does it. And some of the other EVs out there that it would be great if that came to Tesla. So in my last day trip, we went up to Duluth, which was it was a good destination for us. And I wanted to do just like the length of a day trip, not have to pay for hotels and all that stuff. It's easier on Joan and cheaper, obviously. So we chose Duluth. It was easy, like ridiculously easy in a Tesla. So that's not really a big trip, but I wanted to show how easy it can be. And I think next week, depending on what we end up doing this weekend, our plans are still very up in the air. It might just be enjoying the weekend at home calmly. But next week, I think I want to take her on another one of these trips, and I'm trying to think of a good, for the Minnesota folks watching, if there's a good day trip location. I'm thinking somewhere out by Wilmer or somewhere that doesn't have charging or just has like spots on PlugShare to level 2 charge, and kind of avoid the interstates and just kind of go out. And yeah, obviously start with a charging plan so we're not completely screwed or the day trip turns into a 2-day trip. But if there are any suggestions, I'd love to hear what those are, because I'm kind of looking around the state, like where's a hard place to get to that we could still get back home at night. And luckily, the good news is most of southern Minnesota is pretty well covered. Until you get to that, let's see, from your perspective, it would be, I might have this backwards. Anyway, the two interstates kind of go like this, and like that space in the middle is still needing some supercharger love. So hopefully that gets fixed at some point, but I kind of want to go into one of those areas to show, hey, even when you don't pass 4 superchargers, you can still do a day trip and have some fun in an EV. So any suggestions would be welcome in the chat. Sean asks, what are your thoughts on the release of EAP for 6,000? That is kind of the halfway step of not full FSD, but it gets you the automatic lane changes on the highway, a couple other features. To me, 6,000 is a lot for that. Excuse me. So 6,000, I paid 7,000 for full FSD when it was that price. That's when I put my order in for the car. So to pay almost that same amount for not all the features, to me seems pretty steep. I was hoping that would be, I don't know, maybe 3,000 or less. It's handy, but I don't know that it's that handy. I guess not having to disengage and re-engage autopilot for every interstate lane change would be annoying. So if you do a lot of road trips, if you do a lot of highway driving in your day-to-day life, I can see that getting annoying and maybe be worth $6,000. $6,000, $7,000, what we paid for autopilot is a lot of money to me. That $7,000 that we locked FSD in was right on the cusp of, I can't justify this. Part of my justification was knowing it was going to go up again, but then also wanting to be training it and helping to hopefully get it to a reliable state so that one day my daughter could go somewhere by herself in the car or be picked up from somewhere by herself and feel like she has some autonomy about, how she travels. It doesn't always need to be mom or dad driving her or someone else. We'll see if we ever get to that point, if she ever gets to that point. But that was kind of my part of my drive for not just her, but for other people with disabilities or things like that, to be a part of the process of making that happen was important to me. I think had it been any more expensive, it wouldn't have been that important to me. So like I said, it was right on the cusp, and we were able to roll it into our loan. So that made it a little more palatable for us. I don't think that at this point, I think $12,000 for the full FSD is too much. I think $6,000 for the halfway features is too much. Like I said, if you're in the case where you really want to get in on it and you can do 6 but you can't do 12, that might be what you want to do. Personally, I would do the subscription model, but I would also wait on the subscription model until it's more proven. Part of what I wanted to talk about tonight was FSD and kind of the will it ever happen thing. And there's been a lot of stuff I see on Twitter and different places about it's never going to happen. They're never going to solve it. They just laid off some some labeling people from the autopilot team. Some people take that to mean they're just going to scrap it and they're just firing people to clear it out. Other people are saying, well, if the auto labeling is getting so good, you can reduce your human head count. Hopefully it's that second case. I'm not sure they're going to solve it, but I know when I first got it last year, I definitely didn't have any no disengagement drives. I worded that very weirdly. There were almost no zero disengagement drives when I first got it. Now, it's common enough that I'll get home or get to my destination and I don't realize it till I'm out of the car that, I didn't have to take over there. So it's not every drive is perfect. It was doing some weird stuff on a country road today where I had to disengage and, take over and report the malfunctions, kind of a strong word, but it chose the wrong place to turn. So there are still weird things. There's still stuff they need to button up, tighten up. There's a smoothness factor too that the road into my neighborhood. Still, I've reported it a bunch of times. Still will just like either stop or jerk the wheel, then jerk the wheel again, and just like trying to figure out this turn, which to me is not complex at all. But, we're just going to have to see how it goes. So my suggestion would be, I don't know if you can do the EAP as a subscription. but I would maybe do that if you could, and try it for a month or two, see how you like it. If you do a lot of highway and it makes a big difference in how you drive, then take that step and either spend the $6,000 or just stay on the subscription, depending on how long you're going to keep your vehicle. And that's kind of how I feel about regular FSD as well, that at this point, you're going to be training it for a while. You have to do the safety score thing. You have to, train it for a while. Like John said, you might get some strikes. So I would say to most people, if you've got tons of money, go ahead and do it for fun. In my situation, I would probably rent it for a month or two, go, oh, this is cool, this is going to be good, like really good in another year, and then maybe look at buying it next year. So that's my take on it. I do really enjoy it. I use it all the time. Oddly enough, the times I choose not to use it are because I'm in a hurry and I don't want to drive as safely as FSD drives. So that tells you something. That was a lot of words. So, John, thank you for the super chat there. It is hands clapping. Excellent. I don't know if I can't do that from here. Let's see if this will work. Does that show up on the broadcast? We'll find out in about 10 seconds here. Excuse me. And we're still waiting. There's a time delay, so when I do something on the computer, I gotta see if it's showing up for you. And it's like 10 to 30 seconds. Nope, it just says what I'm seeing on that screen, but you can see in the chat window it's hands clapping. So learning as we go. Anyway, thank you, John. Appreciate that. Gummy bear money for Joan. Excellent. Yeah, she needs more sugar. Does the clock reset on FSD strikes when there's an update? There was an update a while ago where it sounds like it reset for a lot of people. I don't know if that'll be every update, but it sounds like that did happen once. Let's see. John says 12,000 was way too much. I take the 12,000 and put it down on another EV. Yeah. If you're not a 2 EV household, that's probably a better plan at this point. When's the Ford F-150 Lightning video coming up? So last Thursday, I got a chance to have a pretty thorough look around an F-150 Lightning. And I have a lot of thoughts about it. The first video, it might be two, but the first video is going to come out on Sunday. And it's an interview with the owner. And usually when you do an interview with an owner, they've been researching this for years. They've had it on reservation. They know everything about it and just can't wait to tell you all about it. This is a really special case where the woman who owns it, it was bought for her by her son. There's a backstory there that I'll save for that video. But it was really sweet and great, but she didn't know too much about it. She was really getting used to it still. She's had it for 2 weeks. And she said, just the other day I noticed it didn't have exhaust pipes. And I'm like, what? Why didn't they put exhaust pipes on there? Just, for the look of it. And so she's, it was a really good talk. It's about 10 or 11 minutes of her kind of telling the story and saying what she likes about the truck, surprising things, how she plans to use it, stuff like that. But it's not going to be a nitty-gritty, here are the nuts and bolts of the F-150 Lightning, and I specifically spec'd it out this way because I'm going to do this with it. It was a surprise gift to her, and she didn't even know they were making the Lightning. So it's a fun story, but there's that aspect of it, and she was really gracious to do the interview and everything. So that's going to be a fun video. But then there's the what are my reactions to it, and what are... It's a very important vehicle, but what do I think of it, I guess. And I want to share some of that tonight. So I have some photos I want to share, and we'll do that in a minute here. So that video is coming out Sunday. And like I said, it'll start with the interview stuff, and then maybe I'll put my thoughts and extra video clips and things into that. But I also want to keep it kind of about Janet's story. So we'll see. I think you'll enjoy it. It's a different take than any other F-150 video out there. So I'm really looking forward to sharing it. I would buy it if the purchase was tied to me and the account and not the vehicle. Yeah, talking about FSD. Yeah, that's definitely a concern. That's, again, where the subscription model might be better if you feel that way. You'll pay more over time, but you'll have that security and you won't lose it. If I crash my car and it's totaled, I've lost FSD. So that $7,000 is just out the window. So that is a big consideration. John said, last Saturday I was attacked at the ham radio field. We had 4 Teslas there. This one guy says, I hate those electric vehicles. You guys are going to take down the grid. And he was serious about it. Yeah, people just can't... People don't understand that it's not going to happen over time. I've been pushing EVs since 2018 when I got into them. I've always liked the idea of it, but when you first get one and you go, hey, everybody should have one of these. Down the street are pickup truck after SUV, both ways. And, it's not going to happen overnight. And like today, I drove quite a bit, and I think I used 50% of my battery. So people also have this in their mind that everybody, every night is going to be, charging from 0 to 100%, and it's going to take down the grid because everyone's sucking so much juice down. And that's just not how it is. When on days I'm working from home and just running errands, I might use 10% of the battery. And, my wife, when she would commute with it, would use, maybe 40% there and back. And she had a pretty long commute. So it's going to vary for everyone. But the grid operators know it's coming, and they'll be able to handle it. It's just crazy that people get so worked up about it. Glenn says EAP is not available on subscription yet. Okay. Yeah, I hadn't had a chance to check that, but thank you for checking that out. John, did the grid go down when you turned your central air on? No, I have blown a fuse in the house a few times with my air conditioning, but not the grid. Let's see. I never even saw the super chat. I saw the super chat. Did you fall asleep, John? Thank you. Thank you for it. But I did see it. Let's see. I got lost there for a second. Hey, Aaron. Welcome. No, it just doesn't show up on the phone. Okay. Shows up on the computer screen and the cell phone number, but not on the TV. Okay. I'm not sure what that's talking about. Yeah, John is correct. The wasn't just an F-150 Lightning, but a Platinum. So it had all the bells and whistles. And I'll talk about that in a couple minutes. John says, I sat in the truck, and the truck is unbelievable. It's definitely cool, and it's definitely they're going to sell every single one of them they make. So that's great. Yeah, the problem is the CCS charging infrastructure. Okay, Roland said he sent me bird's eye view through Messenger. Okay, great. I will pull that up when we go over to the computer and I show you some other things. Thank you for doing that. Rivian just launched a level 3 charge network in Colorado. Kyle Connor did a video on that, the Rivian Adventure Network. I know they've got some destination chargers out there, but these are, I think DC fast chargers. That's great, but I think there's only 2 or 3 out. So it's launched. We'll see how fast it expands. I think it's overall great. Right now it's only Rivian drivers, and I think that's so their software team can manage it. But they do plan to open it up to other drivers eventually. So I think that'll be good from their revenue standpoint and a bit of goodwill for them to other drivers as well. But I have to imagine their software team is probably slammed, and trying to get this up and running is probably going to take a while. It's like getting it to work on your car that you built, your charging infrastructure that you're building, that's really relatively easy, but we know in the early days of some of the Porsches weren't working right with the EA stations. Some of the other vehicles were having problems on different networks. So I imagine they want to not have to deal with that problem and deal with other more pressing problems first and then roll it out to other vehicles. So we'll see how that goes. I'm excited that they've opened it, but until there are a lot of stations and they're open to everybody, it's kind of a headline grab, which is great, but it's not going to mean a ton to a lot of people. Yeah, Kyle Connor was the first charger. I saw that video thumbnail. I was like, hey, I need to watch that, and just haven't had time yet. Jeff says, great to see you live again. Thank you. Dad joke for your daughter. Why did the Scarecrow get an award? He was outstanding in his field. Fantastic joke. Thank you. I will share that with her. Yeah, like John says, I was talking about earlier, his battery's at 75% in the garage, and he's not going to bother charging it. So, got a 5-minute delay going on. Yeah, that's probable. Well, what's happening is when you type in behind the scenes, isn't this exciting? When you guys type in a comment, it pops up on my screen that's live streaming. But my video setup is better here, but that means I can't read it live. So you type it in, then there's the time delay, and then it shows up on the screen when you guys would also see it. And I'm reading off the screen in when you guys are seeing it. So right next to me, I have my laptop is playing me from 30 seconds ago, gesturing my hands wildly, and it's a little distracting, but that's how I may be able to see with my terrible eyes your comments close up. When we go over there, I'll be able to read them more real time. Let's see. Yeah, John wants somebody to take the Tesla CCS adapter and use it on the Rivian level 3 charger. Yeah, that'll be great to do once they open it up. But we were talking about the Ford F-150 Lightning, and I was going to save this for later, but I've got some other stuff. Roland just sent me the that photo of the 360, so let's take a little walk over there, and I'm going to have to gather my things, and we'll switch to the other camera and take a look at some stuff on the screen. Behind the scenes again. Hi friends, welcome back. It took so long because my room is so huge. Maybe I can not go to that joke well every single time. So I want to, let's see, I'm going to bring up that thing from Roland. Give me a second here. Do 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 do. Let's see if I can bring this up for you guys to see. Okay. Second screen. Okay. So now sorry that took so long. I am not good with computers. And there's my little box. Okay, so that is the FSD visualization. So it's not using it's using the cameras, but it's so it's usually using the FSD visualization and going interesting. So that is, I don't know if mine does that. Mine kind of does that on in intersections, but I don't think that much of a 360. I was thinking it was going to be like using the actual footage. Instead it's showing you the animation, but still that's better than what we've had before, so as far as I know. So thanks for sharing that, Roland. Yeah, that's cool. I'm going to hide that. Yeah, one more look at it. And while we're here, I'm gonna get rid of that. If anyone's interested, I know you're sitting here listening to me talk right now, but Aaron, I can get some music that we can play while we wait. That's a good idea. I should do that. Actually in April or May, I did an interview with Andrea Lee from Great River Energy about our road trip to Florida. And she wrote this article. They had, different priorities, deadlines, and things. So this is coming out in June instead of April. But it's just kind of the story of our road trip, kind of how I got into EVs, our early road trips, things like that. Why I started doing this on YouTube, which I'm sure some of you are wondering that same thing too. Why did you start doing this on YouTube? But anyway, so I'm obviously not going to read it to you, but it's got some of those road trip stats, some other things about that, other electric vehicle concerns, kind of some of the things we talk about, why some people are reluctant to switch to an EV, and So anyway, this is out there. I meant to put the link for this in the description, and I will do that right after we wrap up here. So anyway, that's out there if you'd like to read it. I want to give them as many clicks as they can because I want to feel like it was worthwhile talking to me. For them, like they didn't waste their time. So yeah, John says, did you say your head was so huge or your room is so huge? The room is so huge. Joking. Yeah, bird's eye view for backing trailers. I think there's going to be some really good stuff when Cybertruck comes out, as far as that kind of thing is concerned. So I'm going to hide the sidebar and bring up some Ford pictures. So this was the Ford Lightning Platinum Edition. And I'm just going to kind of go through. These are the photos that I edited for. Some of these will be in the video and things too, but thought I'd share them with you tonight and kind of talk through some of some things I find interesting as we get different genres of vehicle, different types of vehicle, and different manufacturers. The rules kind of change on what what we're picky about and what we're not. And I don't think that's necessarily bad. It's just kind of funny that I'm going to point some things out here that if they were on a Tesla, it would be bloody murder and they can't make a car. This is terrible. I can't believe, no major manufacturer would put out a vehicle like this. And I don't think that's there are a lot of cosmetic things that until I was told to look for them by fussier people than me, I never would have noticed them on Teslas, and I wouldn't have noticed them on other vehicles. Obviously, there are some glaring issues that have come up on different types of vehicles that you would notice, but in general, a car's a car, and if it does its job well, who cares about some of that stuff? And that's really how I feel about my car. Like, I know when it was delivered, the trunk hatch fit really well, and like the line or the panel gaps on either side were really close, and I was very impressed with that. And now after 36,000 miles, you can tell it's kind of jogged and probably needs a little adjustment, but we've hit some major potholes. I've put that thing through the ringer. So it definitely doesn't bother me that some things may have gotten jostled around over 36,000 hard miles. So when I say this about the F-150, I'm not dogging on it. I think it's a very important truck, and I think some of this stuff just doesn't matter to truck owners, and people give other vehicles a pass because they have familiarity and affinity for a brand, and it's still early production as well, so issues can pop up. In general, I think this is a super important vehicle because it is getting people who would never look at an EV to look at an EV. And it's very familiar. I'll start going through the pictures here. It's very familiar to anyone who's sat in a F-150 in the last 30 years. You're going to be able to find your way around. The screen is going to take a little while, but the vehicle itself is going to be pretty familiar. So what I was talking about earlier is things like this light bar here. I don't know if you can see my little icon here, my arrow, but like the fact that this is like a 1/4 inch off and then this one is flush, is it the end of the world? Is anyone going to notice? No, but if it was a Tesla, it would be like, holy crap, I can't believe how bad they do. So I get a little frustrated that no one cares about that when it's other vehicles, but and I don't, it was something I noticed because, like I said, other people are more particular about that kind of stuff than I would be, and the owner hadn't noticed, or she didn't say anything, didn't care. It's her truck, and maybe on trucks this stuff doesn't matter. I do think this whole plastic thing, I'm glad that it's there and it's plastic instead of a big chunky grill that would look ridiculous. But the plastic looks a little... it doesn't seem that durable, if that makes any sense. Like, I have concerns that using this truck as a work truck and driving behind your buddies who are spitting up rocks and things like that on a job site or in a field, I feel like some of this plastic could be cracked or get holes in it from that kind of impact. Maybe it's stronger than it looks. There's plastic backing behind there. The interior of the door, or the hatch you'll see, is pretty beefy. But I'm just thinking, if this light bar starts getting holes in it and stuff, is that going to look kind of crappy? So just a minor thing I noticed. There's a switch right under here for bringing up the tailgate, or the lift gate, and that worked just fine. So let's see. There you can see that spot. And it's not the end of the world. It's just, when you're looking at it, it's one of the first things you do notice. And there you can see it's, pretty flush, although there's a little bit of weirdness right there. But again, I'm saying this as someone who doesn't care so much about that. I just wish every vehicle got the same fair shake. So I took a picture of that for some reason. This is the charge port, and just regular CCS. You got the lights there on the right hand side to indicate charge level. Kind of cool, interesting thing is right here. It looks like cross-cut of, let's see if I can zoom in on that, like different plies of wood, which I thought was an interesting design feature. Kind of cool, unexpected. And then, let's see. Oh, no, it's very small. Just full size, thank you. Like I said, the interior is going to feel very familiar to F-150 owners, which is great. This person Janet hadn't owned a F-150 in, sounds like, a few years, and she was able to figure out most of the stuff. Obviously, the screen stuff was a different issue, but as far as driving it, knowing where the stalks were, knowing all that kind of stuff, it made perfect sense. So that was great. Again, another look at the screen. That's the same screen that's in the Mach-E, and she was still learning about it. There's wireless charging down below here, and some power outlets, USBs, and a 12 volt and a 120 volt. So that's cool there, right on the inside. So if you need to charge a laptop or whatever, you can do that. This is just looking around more on the inside. Here again, this is one of those things that isn't the end of the world. If you're using it as a work truck, no big deal. But some of these seams and just the way they kind of bulged, and like there's a crease in here. This wouldn't bother me day to day, but again, this is the platinum version, and it just kind of looks like the stitching here and the way this kind of all just seems kind of just bunched together. Reminds me of like the truck my grandpa had in the 80s and 90s. It doesn't seem like the quality is really there, and I can't remember the exact cost off the top of my head of the platinum, but it's not the cheapest. Let's see. John says he was pissed off. I'm not sure who was pissed off. Everything inside, but the screen looks dated. Yeah, they didn't. One thing I really like about the Rivian is the way the screens are integrated into the dash. It looks really built for that, where this seems like, yep, we have the F-150 and we put the screen in it. And let's see. Here's a look at the full-size spare underneath, which is fantastic. And this truck is, I didn't think the Rivian was that small, but standing next to this, it is considerably smaller than the F-150. Here's just some beauty shots for the video. The sensors are just showing how they kind of curve down. I don't know, this seems like it's a spider web. I don't know if this is as well, or a little road grit, or if that's a scratch in it already, which I hope it's not. And that's the underside, which is a weird looking underside for a truck, but I thought people would appreciate seeing the no exhaust system or anything else, so that's pretty cool. More beauty shots here. The cameras, so here we have the camera for their bird's eye view, and I think that's what that would be for. And then I think there's a little light that comes on and shines on the ground there, the puddle light. Everything inside, let's see, David says, just got an over-the-air software update last night. Anyone know how the nav system now takes into account wind effects? The car must receive wind info externally. I'm curious how often it updates. Yeah, I don't know if they've like partnered with someone like Windy or like a weather service. I guess I could just partner with the weather service and get the updates. I think those are every 10 minutes or every 30 minutes. I can't remember. But it's possible it could be, because it would have to figure places you aren't yet. I was going to say, I think in the past it's kind of taken into account how much headwind you've been facing. But I would think they would be a little more proactive and show and use some sort of data, but I have no idea what it is. Excuse me. So if anybody knows, that'd be great. Throw that in the chat. And John says, my friend had an order for the F-115 Lightning. Dealership, wanted to do the markup of 10,000. Yeah, that's a bummer. And John says I'm assuming he means Janet, had the whole truck wrapped. And I'm guessing that's what we're seeing right here. Is kind of the edge of the wrap then. Which obviously wouldn't be a Ford thing. That's, whoever wrapped it. Just another look. Plenty of Ford logos. When they made the Mustang Mach-E, they made a point of, I think there might be only one or two Ford logos on the whole thing, and they're not obvious. It's all Mustangs. And on this, it's very Ford, 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 Ford. So let's see. There again, I'm just getting shots. And here on this side plastic too, that also seems like the same material as the front. And it looks cool, and it obviously looks really cool lit up. My concern is rocks or dings or, just those. If it's broken, it's going to be really obvious and look bad. So I hope it's more durable than it looks. Just more Ford badges and F-150s. And while I was crawling around on the ground getting those underneath shots, I noticed the little screws here. That is something we just don't ever even notice, but it's on all trucks. I've been looking since last Thursday. Every truck that I've been close to, I've been like, oh, nope, those are there. And they're definitely on all F-150s. So that's just again, if this is a work vehicle and, who cares? It may as well just be there. But I did take a picture. Took a picture of the nice 22-inch wheels. The aerial here, because just for me, because it reminded me of my grandpa's truck. And so that is my last photo. So I'll just kind of back through them again. So on one hand, I'm like, this is great. It's an all-electric F-150. Seems to do pretty well in efficiency, range tests, and stuff like that. Again, Kyle Connor's channel, out of spec motoring or out of spec reviews, has a lot of stuff. They're going to do a bunch of towing tests with the Rivian and with the F-150 Lightning, and they've already done some with like max payload things. So it's great that this is out there, and I'm really excited for non-EV people to start getting psyched about the potential of what can be done with electric vehicles. So that's great. But I was expecting a little bit more. I was expecting well, especially on the Platinum, I was expecting things to seem a little more high-end. But again, I don't really care. So if the owners are happy with this, and this is what a Platinum non-EV F-150 looks like, then great. Then they've nailed it. It just I was showing up there expecting to be wowed. When I saw the Rivian in person, when I saw the prototype Rivian, I was wowed as far as and not with everything. The Rivian had the Rivian paint was pretty orange peely, and again, that's not something I really care about or notice often. So for me to notice without looking at it, there was quite a bit. It seemed like there was one panel. Let me see if I can. Might be going past it here. Most of the paint on this looked fabulous. But there were a couple spots where I'm like, oh, there's a little bit of orange peel on there. Yeah, Aaron, I think you're right. I think it's good. I feel like I'm sounding super negative on it. Aaron says that Ford definitely played it safe on this one. And they did. They took an F-150, put batteries on it, put a screen in it, and got it on the road. And that's really the important part. It's getting new drivers in an EV, them figuring out their EV stuff, and not going too out of bounds that they couldn't make them. And so, interestingly, as I'm watching all these other videos on trucks, on the Rivian, on the F-150, the ads that always pop up on them are the Silverado, and not even the Silverado EV, just the Silverado. And, you know, there have been some, I don't know, Chevy fans, I don't know who's making these comments, but some comments to the effect of, well, Chevy's taking their time and doing it right and, you know, building a ground-up EV instead of just slapping some batteries and a screen into an existing vehicle. That's great, but Ford got to market first, well, between Chevy and Ford. Ford got it into customers' hands. Is learning things in real time and is changing minds in their customer base. And the Silverado EV might be a fantastic product. The Cybertruck might be a fantastic product, but they aren't here yet. So the people who need a truck and want to go electric this year, well, assuming they can still get one, but you know what I'm saying. You know, this is the one that's out there. This is the big truck that's out there. I'm excluding the Hummer because that's kind of preposterous. And I don't think they're really making many at all of them. But, you know, this is the truck on the market. Personally, for me, if I had the money and needed a truck, I would go Rivian because I wouldn't need a truck this big. And I just think it kind of all fits together. It is that ground up, you know, the advantage of the being ground up. But if these are durable, if they're capable from a towing, hauling standpoint, if they drive well, which they seem to, then F-150 drivers are, you know, it's going to start turning over that fan base. So I think it's a good move, a smart move. I think the truck, my big takeaway comment after I saw this is they're going to sell every one they can make. Because, like I said, if this is what people who drive an F-150 are expecting, and they're happy with that, not that they shouldn't be, but if this is what they're expecting and wanting, and Ford sounds like they're delivering on the specs and, you know, the range, you know, towing and everything like that, then they'll, like I said, they'll sell them forever. They could open up 5 more production lines and sell everyone. So I think it's a great it's a great, important vehicle, like everybody says. I was just expecting a little more. But maybe that's not what the F-150 is supposed to be. And I think a lot of people would argue that. If anybody wants to see any of the specific pictures, again, I can bring those up. I thought I had photos of the frunk open. I know I have video of it, so I apologize. I don't have that, but again, you can wait till Sunday and watch the video, and you'll be able to see that. Let's see. Yeah, Ford played it safe, but maybe that was the right play. I like that it exists. I like that the owner was very, very happy with it. She was just thrilled with it. So I hope that's the experience with all Lightning owners, because I want to see more of them on the road. It was very exciting to see, and cool to climb around. The back seats are pretty enormous, and there's storage back there as well. Again, I went all around the truck getting video footage, and then came back and did another pass of photos. So I wasn't as thorough with my photos, but like I said, I did want to share these. John says, on the Rivian truck, I heard there's multiple rear motorized... Oh, the motorized tonneau cover, rear cover going bad, jamming up with leaves. That's too bad. I hope they can get that sorted out. That might be an issue with Cybertruck too when it comes. Alex from Electric show the accelerator pedal busted off on the Rivian. Yeah, I saw that story. Zach and Jesse covered that on Now You Know too, and they actually did kind of a breakdown because they have the Rivian. They went out and took some footage of what it's like underneath and why that might be a problem area. But hopefully, it sounds like they can. I think the person whose accelerator pedal broke was able to have it fixed like the next day or within 2 days or something. So for a new company with new service, obviously that's a major issue. But at least they did get him taken care of pretty quickly. David says accelerator pedal falling off, Toyota wheels falling off. Yeah. It's tough because you don't want to be... Yeah, I hate to be the Tesla owner saying, see, look at that failed. See, look at that failed. Other companies have these failures too. I think it's worth noting, but also kind of like, individual Tesla failures, on different parts or things. Just because one person had a bad experience doesn't mean every car they've made is crap. Even with some of the issues I pointed out on this vehicle, maybe this is 1 out of 100 that has issues like this. And it's no big deal. Obviously, this is the only one I've seen, so I have nothing to compare it to other than, gas F-150s. But yeah, the attitude towards some of these other companies' issues is like, oh, it's no big deal, or in this case, oh, it's a truck. Who cares about that stuff? But I guarantee if there are weird panels on the Cybertruck, already on the prototypes, people have been criticizing the panels on the prototype. So it's just always interesting what we let slide and what we don't. John said New Brighton Ford did not mark up that truck. He asked her. John, I know the charging is always the thing, and that's another thing I want to talk about. because you have to drive all the way to Woodbury if you don't live near Woodbury or you can't charge at home. So sorry I don't have any music here, but I think I'm going to transition over to here. And being on camera makes you super like paranoid about your hair and like why does it do weird things. So yeah, David, it is how you deal with it, how you treat customers, how you handle, like the GM battery recall. Some people had a good experience, other people didn't. It's always kind of tough. But so let's see. How do I do this again? All right, we're going to travel way over to here. So let's slide over to that camera, and I will see you back over there. Do 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 do. Do here. That's the problem of doing like a once a month live stream, is you forget all the things you had nailed down. But so I see Todd is here, and he just got back from Brainerd International Raceway watching Todd, or no, he's Todd. Hi, Todd. Watching Jason drag his Model S Plaid, and I think it was the first time he's done that. I'm not 100% sure, but he had permission to do like under 9-second runs, I believe, or 9-second runs, so he could get certified to do them in the future. And so that's really excited. I really wanted to go up there and actually do the live stream from like the stands or something. I couldn't, with the rest of my life, I couldn't make that work. But I really wanted to go up there, and I thought, man, it would be awesome, even if I have to live stream from my phone, to bring you guys along, and we could watch Jason do his runs up there. That would have been so much fun. Maybe we can do that in a future live stream, or maybe even if it's not on a Wednesday night, if somebody's... Well, I think these are always on Wednesdays. But if people are going up again from the Minnesota group to the drag strip, it would be fun to live stream from the stands and bring you guys along. So we'll see if we can make that work this summer. I think it would be really fun. Todd, are you going to spill the beans on how he did, or are you just going to say you were there? And did you do any runs in your car? That is all stuff everyone wants to know. So over there, we were talking about charging infrastructure. And, John brought up the point of, where you're going to charge it if there's only one Electrify America station in Minnesota, and it's, it's in Woodbury. Obviously, you can charge at your home. There's level 2 options. There's 50 kilowatt stations around, but that's not really fast. Yeah, John's got a unlimited hotspot, so we might have to see how we can do that up at Brainerd. We'll see. We'll plan that without you watching me think. Okay. You have to do enough of that, just trying to get sentences out. Track was bad tonight. Lots of cars were slipping. Oh, that stinks. But that means he might go up again, and we can all go up together. Or, virtually, we can all go up together. So, the Electrify America thing, and charging in general. In Minnesota, I know a lot of areas are well covered by Electrify America or EVgo or some other things. In Minnesota, there are quite a few, I think, Zeph Energy stations, but I think there might be a 150 kilowatt station in Moose Lake. I'm not sure who runs that. And then there's 50 kilowatt stations, which, it's better than nothing. It will charge you eventually, but it's not, super fast for, most modern EVs. And a few weeks ago, John was gracious enough to let me use his CCS charger or adapter that he got from Korea. And that video did really well, but so there were some complaints that, well, the adapter's fine, but, you were just on bad chargers. And I didn't have this thought fully formed when I recorded that video. But thinking about it and reading some of the comments, it's very clear to me that, well, the point I was trying to make was this adapter probably works fine. It worked fine for John on his session, and I think on another session. Other people have been having good experiences with it, unless the chargers aren't very good. I got a comment on the video today or yesterday about, somebody was on a ChargePoint fast charger, but it wasn't very fast. And then when other people were, at the same station, there was load sharing. And so I think he was charging at 30 or 50 kilowatts or something there too. So you can buy this charger or this adapter and still have a bad experience, because the adapter is only going to be as good or as reliable as the chargers you're plugging into. And for a while, it seemed like Electrify America was doing really well with reliability, and people weren't having issues. Or it sounded like it was becoming more rare. In the last couple months, I've seen a handful of videos of people who are very pro Electrify America, don't drive Teslas, having issues at different Electrify America stations. When we did the video where I tested the thing, the station I plugged in wasn't being worked on, but there was a tech working on one of the other pedestals that we eventually plugged into just to try to help him out by trying to pull some juice from that charger. But if you're used to the Supercharger network, which is not perfect, but about as close as any service like that there is. And when you're used to that system and you buy this adapter and you are buying into all those other networks and relying on their reliability and have expectations of supercharger level uptime, speeds, consistency, the buyer beware on the thumbnail was, beware, you're not just buying a supercharger that goes along with everywhere you go. You're buying a conduit into these other networks, which may or may not be functioning or repaired. And so expecting to have that same experience is a little bit dicey. It's kind of like when I went up to northern Montana for the first time to see the Well Done Foundation up in Shelby, Montana. I was relying on an RV park having open working, and allowing me to plug into their spots, which they did. It was fine. I didn't have any issues. But, when you're going somewhere where hey, if this doesn't work, I'm screwed. Or, I'm going to be begging someone to plug into their 120 outlet somewhere, or find a welding shop that'll let me plug in or something. You don't want that experience. EV drivers don't want a bad experience. And so, you buy this adapter thinking, now I can go this place, that place, because there's CCS there. And you get there relying on that, and there's no level 2, no backup option. If that's not working, you're going to have a bad experience. And I know I sound like I'm spouting a bunch of FUD because, that's just what people who don't drive EV say is, there's no place to charge it. You're going to have a bad experience. What if the chargers are broken? But if you're a, plug share user, you can check the check-ins. If you're a experienced EV driver, different ways of getting around that. If you're a constant CCS driver, like if you own one of the other, CCS vehicles, you've got a good handle on which one of these work, what the Electrify America app, all that stuff. You're going to know in your network of places you go how reliable different things are. And if you're a Tesla driver, not used to worrying about that, and you go into that world thinking I'm going to go, and everything's going to be great, it just might not be the case. You're going to want to do a little more research and stuff. So just wanted to clarify that I really don't want EV drivers to have bad experiences. And even, I was just replying to someone yesterday or the day before, wondering about going to this place or that place in Minnesota. Should I chance it with my EV or should I take my ICE car? And I said, well, consider this, consider that. Consider how much driving when you're going to be out in the boondocks. But if you're not comfortable with it, we're still at a point where maybe it makes sense to take your ICE car. There's places in the state where I would probably take our Prius rather than the Model Y, just because they're so hard to get to. I'm thinking like International Falls, I know is a tough spot for EV drivers to get. Last year, Todd kind of got stranded up in way northern Minnesota. I can't remember the name of the town, but I had to stay extra just to get enough charge to get back to, back in the Supercharger network. And then once you're back in there, everything's dandy. You can just kind of race between places. So, the adapter is not just the adapter. It's the adapter and the whole other system behind it. Just wanted to clarify that. Although, if other people have other opinions, I'd love to hear them in the chat. John says he looked into some of the 50 kilowatt chargers. Most of them are down around him. Broken pins and not maintained. Yeah, that can that's another whole thing. With the money going in for EV infrastructure is making sure there's EV infrastructure uptime requirements built into that, and money for maintenance because stuff breaks. David says reliability is way more critical than speed, particularly when there's only a single unit at the location. Yeah. Single units, single handles is just begging for problems. I mean, if it's a business and they only want to put in one, I get it. But if it's a bank put in by a provider. And I'm actually pretty happy with what they did in Grand Marais. It's not Superchargers yet, but there is a 50 kilowatt CCS and 2 level 2. There's also CHAdeMO on the CCS pedestal. And then there's 2 level 2s right next to it. So I think we were getting 11 or 12 kilowatts too. So not slow. Kilowatts? Now I'm second guessing myself, but it was a pretty fast charge for level 2. So I was pretty happy with that. There's also the campground in town there that has EV charging available as well. I think just a NEMA 1450 plug, but they will let you charge. So yeah, reliability, uptime is the key metric, and not to dog on Electrify America. I feel like I'm being so negative here, but like I said, other people in the YouTube space have been having issues with EA stations lately too. So I don't think I'm too off base, but every week Tesla's opening several superchargers. Now that's all the way around the world, so maybe only a handful in the U.S. But you know, I follow the Tesla charging Twitter account, and it's, you know, every day or every couple days it's 1 or 2 stations around the world coming online. I hear from Electrify America they just had a big, you know, funding round go through. And that's great. But I don't hear about a lot of new stations going in. I hear about their plans for 2025 or, you know, whatever it is. And, you know, Minnesota's going to be, you know, about as well covered as the Supercharger network is now by 2025. But I don't hear about a lot of new stations opening. I hear new designs of stations. I hear, you know, we've got this great investment. They've got the Volkswagen money that they were started with. And, you know, that could just be because I'm not plugged into CCS world. But it feels like there's a lot of treading water. And they do things like the, you know, free weekends. Or like, I don't know if they'll do it for Independence Day. But they've done this, you know, at different points where they'll open all the stations up for free for the weekend. And that's great. It's cool. It's a neat perk for drivers. But it's also like, is that how you're spending the money that's supposed to go into putting stations in? Because that's what needs to happen faster, is getting stations in the ground. So, you know, I'm a little torn on some of that stuff, but again, you know, maybe if I was following it closer, I'd know, hey, they opened 10 stations this week, and it's just none of them are in Minnesota. Other Supercharger news while I'm just talking about it is the Blooming's, that's back over there, on Zach and Jesse's Now You Know channel, the St. Peter, I can't remember who did the video, but the St. Peter Supercharger was highlighted, so that was fun to see. I do want to give you an update on the one that's being built in Bloomington. It seems like it's very close. Just needs some Xcel Energy folks to come and do the last steps and put in a little more equipment. So I'll show you that here in a second. Thank you, Todd. Roseau, Minnesota. So way up north. He was up there doing an EV event and just needed a little more to get home. John says, on the North Shore of Duluth, when you went on your road trip, the Tesla CCS adapter I bought would work up there in Grand Marais. There's also CHAdeMO. I think, I don't if I didn't say that, on that CCS connector. Yeah, that's why John bought the adapter, for more options. It's good to have more options. Yeah, he was up in Roseau. Todd was up in Roseau when he kind of got stuck a little bit. Aaron says, anyone checked out Monticello to see if the progress on that supercharger? I have not. John says there's a lot of overhead. The Volkswagen money is mostly gone. You got to pay people's salaries too. Yeah, I guess that's why I'm questioning why they're still doing the free weekends. Is you have to pay people. There's overhead in getting the stations put in. Use whatever money you're getting to fund actual stations going in the ground, and upkeep, time of uptime. Yeah, it'd be great if dealerships put CCS chargers in their locations. I'm guessing they're going to stick with level 2, most of them. Todd's going to check on the Maple Grove Supercharger. We'll see. Hopefully more of those are being built around the cities, especially for folks who live in apartments and things like that. Let's see. Shared that. Okay. Yeah, I wanted to talk a little bit about production too. What time is it? I have no idea. It is 11:07 already. Okay. Sorry, I was going to try to have this one be a really short one. Just some kind of quick fun stuff and then be on our way, but that's how it is. Let's jump back over here and I will show you how things are coming in Bloomington and give you another update on something else fun. Here we go. This room must be so big. I can't believe it. I can't believe it's not butter. So we'll get rid of that. Is there? Oh, here's the other. I had other things to show you too. So that's not what it was. So here was a time lapse of the event. So here you can see Ellis enjoying the... It was very warm though. It was in the high 90s. And unfortunately, I look like I just got, as I did the interview, you can kind of see up in the right-hand corner. Well, now it's looping, so it's restarted. I'm there in the orange shirt, and by the time I crawled all around the truck a couple times and all that, by the time we did the interview, I was looking pretty bedraggled and sweaty. So it's not going to be the most professional looking interview, but we had a good chat, and hopefully the content is better than the awful way I look in it. But that's reality. I like to be really authentic. Let's see. John says, did you hear about that guy crashing his Plaid? Broken bones, no airbags, no roll cage. Yeah, I heard about that. Dan Berkland was commenting on it a bit because he knows far more about racing and stuff. And apparently they were working on the car, and that might be where there were no airbags or anything. But and didn't have, it wasn't set up properly for the track, and yeah, that's one of those I just kind of chalked up to someone not making a good decision rather than it being anything necessarily impactful for Tesla. So yeah, up in the right hand corner here, you're going to see us doing the, or I guess is that your right too? We do our little interview with Janet. She was fantastic, and showing me a video on her phone of when she got the truck, and it's pretty fantastic. I'm hoping she or her family are going to send that to me this week so I can include it, because it is just too fantastic. Yeah, John's in here, and yeah, a lot of the Minnesota EV Owners Group folks are in here. So that will be, again, part of the video. I tried to post it on Facebook, but it was too large. So I had that and wanted to share that with you. And then here is a look at that Bloomington. And we just go around it here. But it, like I said, it looks pretty much installed other than a pile of black cable there, where I'm assuming that's how XL's going to get all that stuff hooked up. And the two charge points facing either way, and it's cool that each one of them has two handles. So charging for 4 non-Tesla level 2 charges, which is fantastic. So lots of cabinets here. Looks like Tesla's pretty much done. And then just on the right there, that all those cables, all that plumbing coming from the chargers. So I don't know if that's connected yet, still waiting, and just needs a cover, or if it needs something. But somebody said that I think I shot this yesterday, and then someone later in the day said XL was on site, or maybe that was this morning, said XL was on site doing some work. So maybe they're finalizing that stuff up. It'd be cool if it was open for the 4th of July weekend. Aaron says, really pumped for Bloomington. We spend a lot of time down that way. Yeah, the parking lot itself is a little bit gnarly, although now that I've been there a handful of times, it's not too bad, but it's a little goofy area to get in and out of. But once you manage that, getting, it's near the airport, it's right off of the interstate. Another interstate, 35 goes north right near here. If you see that Best Buy building in the background, that's about where the interstate is. It's a little further down that way. The airport's just a little bit further. This is on 494, which is the southern ring road around Minneapolis and St. Paul. So a really good spot. And so I'm excited for this one to be open, even though I'll probably only charge at it once to make sure it, or, to film a video or something there. John asks, I wonder if Tesla paid to have the charge point chargers put in. Hope people don't ice it. Yeah, I think Tesla does pay to put the charge points in there. I think it's part of their deal. I can't remember how that. I've heard it worded. If it's like the deal with Target, or if like with the property, to kind of sweeten the pot of we're going to do this for us, but we'll also make some options available for other manufacturers. I wonder if the new money that's going in. For EV infrastructure, I wonder if that's required that everything be at the same level, because technically this station serves all vehicles. And if you're going to put a station in and get federal money, it needs to serve all vehicles. But I don't know if it needs to serve all vehicles at the same speeds, because obviously these charge point babies would be level 2. But it's interesting. I also wonder if some of the hesitancy or seeming hesitancy of bringing. I'm going to stop doing this before everyone gets dizzy. You've seen it. But I'm wondering if some of that seeming hesitancy of EA to really accelerate putting new stations in. I mean, part of it could be, chip shortage, all that kind of stuff. But I wonder if some of it is also, hey, there might be a whole lot of federal money. And again, we get this funding round, we get some federal money, and we're just going to be living high off the hog. I hope that's not the case. I hope they're not like suppressing the advancement of charging for people when they've already been funded, seemingly a couple times. Let's see. Yeah, I hope people don't ice this charger. It's not. When it was first announced, I was thinking it was right next to the Chick-fil-A. And there is actually some good distance away from it. During the holidays, I think it might, because this Target parking lot gets crushed when there's a bunch of snow and snow piles on the lot, and busy holiday shopping. I can see there being problems in the winter. I don't know anything about the Vadnais Heights superchargers. We can pop up. Oh, I didn't tell you my surprise either. Supercharge. .info. And I can bring this up. Go back here. Let's see. North America. I thought there was a search. Oh, map. Let's do this. So let's see. Vadnais Heights. Looks like there's just a permit, no construction going on. Bloomington's got construction. And Maple Grove's under construction. And new one, if you guys haven't heard, Sorry, this is getting really Minnesota specific, but Two Harbors has a permit. 1 day old permit. So starting to creep up the North Shore, but we definitely need more in this area. And this is that area I was talking about earlier in the live stream. The Wilmer area, this big gap, like here or here. Well, really, here, here, and here would all be great places for them. Probably one there too eventually, but you know, we're gonna see. Monticello. I'm not sure where Monticello is, so. Lina Lakes. Did I know about that one? My wife's family is from there, so. There's supposed to be one coming in North Branch. Oh, Monticello. Here we are. Looks like just a permit so far. So. Oh, I'm clicking on the screen you guys are watching and not on the screen that's actually active. So, yeah, Wilmer needs one. Or Marshall. Up 94, somewhere here. The problem is, and I guess the concern about somewhere like Grand Marais is that there isn't enough utilization or enough traffic to warrant one there. But, this is all tourist area. You put a supercharger in there, people are going to flock to it. So it's kind of a chicken and egg deal. And John's shopping for traffic cones. But I did want to share. Let's see if I have. No, I don't have anything. Don't have anything to show. But if we do one, let's see, when is. Let me bring up the calendar here. So that's August, July, thank you. So if we stick with the last Wednesday of every month, next live stream would be the 27th. So hopefully some of these are open. But also, we have Starlink on order, and it's actually shipping and in Wyoming right now, on its way here. So, hopefully, the next time we do a live stream, it will be via Starlink, and that will be very interesting. Dennis asks, do they ever skip construction on sites where they pulled a permit? I'm not sure. I know. I don't know if it's like a deal with the property owner. Oh, dragging the wrong window again. But I know. Here, if we zoom into. That's Kalispell. So, for a couple of years, I think Shelby, Montana, had a supercharger button here, and I don't know if it was just planned or if they actually got a permit and then the property owner backed out. So I'm not sure what the real deal is with that. I was super excited too because that's where the Well Done Foundation does their work, and like all of this, once we go up, trying to see what. All of this area up here is like abandoned oil wells. So I was hoping that it would be getting a supercharger and I could go visit them easier from here on out. But that is not the case yet. But you can see they've got things pretty well covered with still some gaps in the north and spots here. But again, it's, how much traffic goes there, and when other places, in California and other spots are overfilled and they've got backups, I can understand why they choose to put them there. But I still think there's a huge perception issue with people thinking there's no EV drivers in Minnesota. But again, that's bring this up again. Kind of why I started this channel, and I talk about that in this article here that I will, like I said, put the link to. Even if you don't want to read the article, if you want to just click on it, I don't get anything, but I think it would be cool that they see these kind of stories get clicks. And like I said, I'll throw that link in the description here as we're wrapping up. Let's see. Yeah, the Starlink is really exciting. My wife's like, now, how fast is it? And like, is it really going to work? Because we've had Comcast forever, or Xfinity, or whatever marketing nonsense they have. So it's going to be a big change, but I hope it's a good big change, because we pretty much have to be wired in. So whoever needs the internet most, like tonight, I get it. Tomorrow, Ellie will get it for her work. And it's just, we have big dropouts. We've had a couple times this year where we've been in the middle of the live stream and it cut out, even wired in. So I'm really looking forward to a change. Hopefully it will be for the better. That's kind of cool with what they're doing in Ukraine, that like, hey, if I can help support that effort too in this kind of background way, I'm excited about that aspect of it too. So I have high hopes, and both from an experience standpoint and I don't want my wife to be really upset that we're making this change. So we'll see. Aaron says we have Starlink and it's been a big improvement over our previous provider. Good. I'm hoping we have the same experience. John, YouTube, Nikki, from Transport Evolved says Starlink does not do good on video streaming. I know she said that in the past, but I've heard a lot of people have had, like, as the constellation gets bigger, with each launch, that hasn't been as big of an issue as it used to be. I hope that's the case. Otherwise, we're going to have some real fun max headroom moments where I just stop. So we'll have to wait and see. It could be a disaster. I'm going to have to get up on my roof and do stuff and all that fun stuff too. Aaron says he's used Starlink for Xbox games and it's done well. Put a GPS tracker on the cones. Oh, there. John's still talking about the putting cones at the superchargers. Yeah, we'll see what they end up doing. There's a lot of signs, and I'm hoping it's relatively obvious, but you never know. I think part of the best thing for not being iced is a lot of usage. And if people see that the stations are being used a lot and there's, EVs going in and out of there, even the charge point stops, which would actually be really good for employees, come to think of it. I think if we can keep a high utilization, which I think in that spot it will have a pretty high utilization, people seeing them being used is good for EV adoption because it shows that there are chargers and that people use them. But I think it also lets other people know that, people do actually need them. And so hopefully, especially in the spirit of the holidays, people will be kind and generous and not ice the spots. That's wishful thinking. Let's see. Aaron, I will put the link to the article on my Facebook page again as well. I think I shared it a few days ago when it came out, but John says, I thought you started the channel to make a lot of money. Yeah, I am. From your super chats, John. So thank you. We'll see. YouTube is definitely not a good way to make money unless you want to do a ton of sponsored stuff and put commercials every few seconds. It's just not really how I want to do the channel. I was watching a video, I'm not going to say what channel it was, but it was content I really wanted to hear about a new vehicle. It was a 21-minute video with about 10 or 11 minutes of content about the vehicle. And part of that was ad read, part of that was thanking patrons, part of that was just talking about stuff, which I know this whole live stream is me talking about stuff. But, when you're going to a specific video to find a piece of information, it was very frustrating. John's Comcast 500 megs down and 20 megs up. I need to get a modem with antennas on it. The modems that don't have the antennas are junk. Yeah, we'll see. Yeah, antennas do make a big difference. Me being in the basement with my office probably doesn't help as well with the router on the first floor. I don't know if that makes a difference or not, but it seems to be hard to reach down here. Aaron says our Starlink speeds can be all over the place, but it's pretty good. You probably have better options than we do, though. John needs a live stream dedicated to just the phone. Bag of Holding says my Starlink is way better than my Frontier DSL was. 6 down and 0.5 up were my old speeds. Yeah, we just have such... It's the fluctuation and just complete drops that are so frustrating. Especially, I'm now trying to upload videos, and therefore I'm doing 4K now, so obviously that's a lot of data, but it takes hours to upload stuff. And I talk to other people and they're like, oh no, my videos, I did an hour video in 4K and it was like half an hour or something like that. I'm might be way off, but much better results than what I'm having. So I'm hoping, to see improvements. Like I said, even if it's about the same, I like supporting SpaceX, Starlink, what they're doing in Ukraine and all that. So if it's about the same, I think we'd just keep it because our other price was going to go up too soon. So Aaron says our previous provider was 15 megabytes per second, or megabits per second. So Starlink was a huge improvement. Instead of cone, how about a big cinder block? John's going to have parking solutions. That's his YouTube channel. John's Parking Solutions and antenna reviews. They might not steal a cinder block, but they might put it on your car. John, good thought, but Grandma may have a tough time moving a cinder block when she needs to charge. Yeah, my Starlink upload isn't great now, usually about 10 up on average. Okay. Yeah, we'll have to see how it works. If it's complete crap, we'll just go back and maybe get a new promotional deal with Comcast if we have to go back groveling to them. Obstructions will cause drops. There shouldn't be too many obstructions. Yeah, I'm going to have to put it on my house on a place I don't want to for visual's sake, but it should be away from trees and things. Todd's got... FYI, you can swing up by my place to upload if needed. I have fiber 600 up and down. Okay. That's how bad my internet is for a 20-minute 4K video. It would be faster for me to drive up to Todd's, upload the video, wait there while it uploads, and drive back home. And it still would be about halfway done here. So, yeah, hoping Starlink's an improvement. But not sure if I'll do a video on that because I am not tech savvy in that way at all. My wife's much better with that kind of thing. I'm good at broad strokes or like working within programs and things, not the technical. That's part of the reason some of the road trip stats and things just kind of make my eyes glaze over, and I have to like really focus to make sure I'm doing spreadsheets and things like that because it's just not my bag. Yeah, train some carrier pigeons to carry the USB drive up to Todd. Excellent. Or put it in my FSD car once FSD is actually here. We'll robo-taxi jump drives around. And then only one person needs good internet, and we can all just share. So hang on to that connection, Todd. It sounds like you're going to need it. And I think, holy cow, we've gone 2 hours and 10 minutes here. So that's a long one. But I'm pretty sure I'm out of things to talk about. There's more stuff in the EV world. Elon hasn't tweeted in like 6 days or something. Everybody's losing their mind. And I think it's kind of funny, like, how many people rely on Elon to provide content for them instead of just like making stuff or finding their own stories or whatever. But anyway, that's a whole nother thing, and not worth getting into 2 hours in. But I want everyone to have a great night. Thank you very much for joining me. It was really fun to do this again. And like I said, probably going to wait till the end of next month, do the last Wednesday of July, which will be, I believe, the 27th. And I will post about it beforehand. This one was just like, oh, shoot, that's today. And got it rolling. But I'll give a little more advance warning on that. And like I said, really appreciate everyone joining tonight. Lots of fun with the chat and everyone joining in there. So with that, have a great night. Happy road tripping. Have a very safe and happy 4th of July. If you're traveling or using fireworks, be careful, be safe, and have a great time. And I'll see you on Sunday with the F-150 video, Janet's fantastic story, and a little closer look in video form there. And then, more videos to come. And like I said, next live stream will be on the 27th of July. So have a great night. Thank you very much. Good night.